we had news as we have been doing the program, and we've got to make mention of it at the close of the show. Apparently, Angelo Mosca has just passed away. Do you have some more on that, Brian, from the internet?
I'm just seeing some reports coming in right now as we are recording, but Angelo King Kong Mosca, of course, a big star in Canada, but throughout the United States, he worked for various territories, has just passed away. I believe he was 84 years old. I'm looking for more information right now, but I believe he had been in ill health. I think, I may be wrong, but due to concussions, he was a football player, obviously, for many years. I believe he had some issues with dementia the last decade or so, but Angelo King Kong Mosca, up until early to mid-'80s, still a big star even in the States. And then, of course, Mosca Mania in Canada after WrestleMania. Yeah. Mosca Mania.
Well, and also, you mentioned that he was not only up there in years, but also he had played pro football and then wrestled for 20 or 30 years or whatever. So, of course, he did have some dementia. And he was famous for, God, was it 10 years ago or maybe even a little less, there was a Canadian Football League reunion. Yeah. And he and another football player had a goddamn beef from the 60s. And they both were up on stage and started jawing at each other, and Mosca was on a cane, and I guess did he hit the guy first? The guy hit him back, or the other guy hit him first? There was an exchange of blows, and Mosca tripped and fell down, and his cane was underneath him, and they were having to pull these.
I don't think he tripped and fell down.
70-something-year-old fucking men. What now?
I don't think he tripped and fell down. I think the other guy slugged him.
Well, the other guy did slug him. It wasn't like it was a fucking Joe Frazier right cross, but with the elderly age of both guys, Mosca went down, and it was a sad scene because there was these two senior citizens. But Mosca was a badass. Besides professional football, he was 6'3", 6'4", 270, 280. That fucking face. He looked not quite as big, but very much like Abyss, just a big guy with big hands and big feet and a big face. And obviously King Kong Mosca was, like you said, a star for the AWA, and he was huge in Florida at one time, and he had wrestled all over the country, but since he was Canadian, and he was from, I think the team that he played for was Hamilton, right?
I'm not certain.
I'm not up on my Canadian Football League either. But point is, the Mosca Mania shows drew like crazy because of his name. And Mosca Mania, the one they did, I remember, was the same day as the taping of the first TBS primetime wrestling special, the Superstars on the Superstation. It was February 2nd, 1986. We were in Charlotte with the Rock and Roll Express. That was when we sold out Charlotte Coliseum with no Dusty, no Flair, no Road Warriors for the afternoon show. And then because they were all at the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton for Mosca Mania, which drew, as I recall, between 10 and 12,000 people. It was $100,000 gate. And Angelo Mosca was the local promoter. That's how Crockett was getting back at Tunney in Toronto for going with Vince by having Angelo Mosca be his local promoter in Hamilton, Ontario, just right down the road, and running these big events in Hamilton. And they did several of them, and they drew well because Mosca was such a name. But, so I hate to hear that he's passed away, but obviously at that age and with that type of career and everything, we can't all of us live forever. But he was another one of a guy is an original. You don't find people like that anymore walking around, and that was the kind of characters that were in the wrestling business.
And a great example of a guy who was a big star, could do a promo, he could be a heel, could be a babyface, was a badass, and then his son got involved in the wrestling business. And boy, Angelo Mosca Jr. in 83. There's footage around of him trying to apply the figure four. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yes. Well, there's footage of him trying to do promos where it's like that he's just hearing the English words that he's speaking for the first time, and the look on his face is like a surprise that they're coming out. He was a nice kid. He just wasn't a good wrestler or good public speaker, but he was a nice kid. But The acorn fell a distance from the tree, then rolled down the hill and was swept away in the stream.
All right.
All right, then. There you have it. But our condolences to Mosca's fans, friends, family, and etc. Again, another Hall of Famer, Angelo Mosca.
Did you ever see him live?
Oh, God, yes. I want to say the first time I saw him was when Crockett was running the Cincinnati Gardens. Maybe I'm misremembering, when I went up as a fan before I was in the business. And then I saw him somehow 2 or 3 times. Not often, but a couple of times. Follow up? Follow up? That seemed to placate your curiosity.
That placated my curiosity, and of course, we all send our condolences to the family and friends of Angelo King Kong Mosca, a legend in wrestling and, of course, in Canadian football.